Hi, this is Jeff Curto, and welcome to episode number 183 of Camera Position, the podcast about the creative side of photography. Being conscious. Being conscious. Being aware of what it is that you're doing. Being there for life, being there for photography. And the difference between a conscious photographer and what I'm going to call an unconscious photographer. So it's late summer as I'm recording this, and I have returned from teaching workshops in Italy. And every time I teach a workshop in Italy, I come upon a number of photographers who, over the course of the time we spend together, become more conscious about the photography that they're doing, and less unconscious of what it is that they're doing. So what do I mean by this? The difference between a conscious photographer and an unconscious photographer. Now, obviously, I'm speaking about it in a way that is, beyond the sort of literal meaning of the word. And obviously, an unconscious photographer is one who's fallen down and knocked himself out. But a conscious photographer is one who's aware of what it is that they're doing. And one of the things that I notice every time that I teach a workshop, and I suppose I notice it more when I teach a workshop because I am with my workshop students all the time and watching them photograph and thinking about what it is that they're choosing to photograph and helping them throughout the time that we're together during the workshop. But what I see happen oftentimes, at least at the very beginning, the first few days of being in a new and exciting and visually thrilling place, like Tuscany or the Italian lakes or wherever it is that the workshop winds up that particular time. And what I discover is that for the first day or two, or maybe even three, the photographers photograph, golly, everything in their path. And those of you who are out there listening, who have been on one of my workshops, you probably are nodding your head and you're saying, yeah, I did. I photographed every possible thing that was in my path, whatever it was. I took a picture of it. But eventually, over time, as I began to sink in not only to the destination, but also to sink into the idea of every day being a day of photography, I began to be more conscious, you're thinking to yourself. I began to be more conscious about what it was that I was photographing. I began to be more aware of what it was that I was trying to say with the pictures that I was making, of the story that I wanted to tell about the place that I was in, or the people that I was seeing, or the sights that I saw. And begin to make photographs that actually speak more to who you are and what you're feeling than just what it is that's there. And I think that basic idea of being a conscious photographer is one that I have really advocated my entire time in photography and advocate to students all the time, and I'm advocating to you. Be more conscious, be more aware of what it is that you're trying to do, and be less unconscious. Be aware of what it is that every frame that you make does. When you think about it, a couple of episodes ago in Camera Position, we talked about less is more, photographing fewer images to make more of an impact, thinking through how you can pare down your subject to the least amount of stuff that you can make. And once you've done that, you begin to have a photograph that says more, trying to cram more information in or trying to make more photographs is often an antithetical proposition. So be more conscious, be more aware of what you're doing. And I don't mean necessarily just in terms of the technology of photography, apertures and shutter speeds and what you want blurred and what you don't want blurred, and whether you want, motion blur in your image, or whether you want long focal length or short focal length lenses to do what they do relative to your position of your camera. I'm talking more about thinking through what it is that this picture says before you make it. And if you begin to think through what it is that the picture says before you make it, you become a more conscious photographer. You become a more aware photographer. And with that, I believe you become a more competent photographer as well. So apply these ideas when you go out to photograph next, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Camera Position, the podcast about the creative side of photography.